Good morning. I see people starting to sign in. Hi, Andy. Good morning. Glad you could join us. Hey, Cindy. And Gail, all the way from Virginia. We're going to get started in here in about a minute, but I just wanted to sign in a little bit early because I know I have some people who are anxious to get started. Hi, Sharon. Okay, we are at the top of the hour. Hi, Terry and Mary Jo. Glad you guys could all join us this morning for our Facebook Live. I think most of you may know who I am. If you don't, my name is Patty Sliney. I'm one of the Handy Quilter National Educators. I live out in San Diego County, California. And we're doing a little Facebook Live this morning about a specific tool in ProStitcher Designer called the Backdrop tool. So I'm going to show you how to audition quilt designs on top of an image of your quilt top or maybe even a quilt block using the backdrop tool. And I'm really excited about this because this is one of my very favorite tools in ProStitcher Designer. And honestly, I think just this one tool is worth buying ProStitcher Designer for because I use this tool literally with every single quilt that I quilt on my long arm. I will audition designs on an image of the design in Designer so I can get an idea of the designs. Do I like them? Do I like them together? If I'm doing an all over edge to edge, do I like the general look? Do I like the density? Is it too dense, not dense enough? So it's just an extremely valuable tool. So I'm going to jump in, and the product that we use to do our streaming lives, in order for me to make sure that everybody can hear and see me, I may have to jump back to the StreamYard screen so I can see all your comments on the side. But I'm assuming you all can see me, and you can also see my big purple mouse cursor with the lavender circle around it. So if you can see me and you can see my mouse cursor, hold on a sec there. Interesting. It's saying I'm not connected. Continue. Okay, hopefully this will be good. This is the one thing about doing lives is you get interesting pop-ups. So hopefully that won't be a problem. So you may have seen that pop up on my screen. Okay. No cursor. You cannot see your mouse cursor or the screen. Okay, it's probably because I haven't shared my screen yet, but you can see me. So let me go ahead and I'm going to share my screen, and I'm going to share my entire screen. All right. And then I'm going to try to change my view. Okay, can you see my giant purple mouse cursor with a purple circle on it now? And you'll see like a very weird screen, which is okay. Don't worry about that. Gonna fix that in a second. Just want to make sure you can see my mouse cursor. Excellent. Thank you. Thanks, Jeanette. Hi, Jeanette. Okay, good. All righty. So I am going to get started here. Let me pull up. I've got a little PowerPoint up. Here we go. So let's get started. We are talking about the ProStitcher Designer Backdrop tool, having fun auditioning designs on your quilt top. And again, for those of you that have ProStitcher Premium and have bought it within the last few years, ProStitcher Designer comes with the purchase of the ProStitcher Premium computerized robotics system. And for those of you that are ProStitcher Lite, it would be an additional purchase, but I think it's well worth it just for this tool alone, personally. So let's talk about what ProStitcher Designer even is. It is a full-featured design editing and digitizing software. You can use it for creating both paper patterns or digitized quilting motifs, and pretty much all of us are ProStitcher users, so that would be the mode we'd want to use it for. As I mentioned, it does come with the purchase of the ProStitcher Premium Computerized Quilting System if you've bought it within the last few years. It's a very feature-rich program. It gives you the ability to quickly design, edit, customize, or import or export any quilting motif. You can also use some of the really helpful built-in tools, such as the backdrop tool, which is what we're talking about today. And I love this for auditioning quilt designs on top of an image of the quilt top. You do get free lifetime program updates with Designer. It's compatible with all major quilting file formats, including the ones that we use, which would be HQF, HQV, and QLI. Those are the 3 file formats ProStitcher Premium and Light can read. And it also can open pretty much all of the common embroidery file formats. That allows you then to save that embroidery file back as an HQV file. So you can maybe do some editing and altering and then stitch it out on your long arm. Designer does communicate with ProStitcher Premium and Light. There is a send button that allows you to send designs back and forth between the 2 programs, and I'll show you that a little bit in my demo. You're given 2 activations or installs. It is a Windows-based program, so you must have Windows 10 or 11, and you need to be on a laptop that has Windows installed. So Chromebook doesn't count. That's not a laptop. That's just a internet surfing device. So you need to actually have a real laptop that's running Windows 10 or 11, and you can install it and activate it on your tablet. And if you've bought ProStitcher Premium recently, it's actually already installed on your tablet. All you need to do is activate it, and then you can install it also on your laptop and activate it. So it's just a quick 30,000 foot view of ProStitcher Designer. So let's talk a little bit about the program and the backdrop tool. So I'm going to pull up Designer, and when you launch it, you'll get this launch screen, and I'm going to click on create a new design. That's going to give me a blank screen, and this is how we would want to get started. Bear with me while I turn my page on my notes. And just so you know, because this gets asked with every Facebook Live, yes, this is being recorded. It will get posted on our ProStitcher page, and you'll get to see it for, I think, like 10 days, 2 weeks, something like that. And then Facebook makes it go away. We don't have any control over that. However, it also gets loaded on ProStitcher, our ProStitcher YouTube channel. So if you're not a, and I'm going to go through all of that with you, if you're not a subscriber, I encourage you to subscribe to the ProStitcher YouTube channel. Click on the subscribe bell, and then click on the bell again and click all. So that way you're notified of any new videos that get loaded to our ProStitcher YouTube channel anytime you launch YouTube. It would be up in your right corner of your YouTube homepage. So let's talk a little bit about this. And as you know, I'm doing this on my laptop. You can work on your tablet if you want. It's just, for me, a lot easier to be on my sofa with my feet kicked up on my ottoman and using it on my laptop. A little more comfy than standing at your machine. But if you've got quick work that you want to do, let's say you just want to quickly edit a design, you can do that right on your tablet. Send the design from ProStitcher Premium or Light to Designer. It will launch Designer. You can do your editing and then send it right back to your ProStitcher Premium or Light program to stitch it out. So today we're on the laptop, and that's why I encourage you to install ProStitcher Premium or Light on your laptop as well, so you can use it in simulation mode. We've talked about that in the past. You can go back to my old Facebook Lives and watch that. So let me just give you a quick overview of how the backdrop tool works. It's found on the Tools tab here, and as you know, that's our navigation hierarchy. Just like we navigate in ProStitcher Premium or Light, it's tabs first. Every tab has its own toolbar ribbon with its own set of tools, and the backdrop tool is found on the Tools tab way over here, and you can click on it. And it's going to, let me do this. There we go. Click on the bottom part here. It will give you the drop-down box, and then it's going to give you the select option. And I'm going to select an image of a quilt I made. It's the chain link quilt along that we did a couple of years ago through ProStitcher, and I'll talk a little bit about that because I have some little added goodies with this Facebook Live. I want to give you as much as I can, and that will load an image of the quilt top right in your workspace. So, and as you can see, where I went is I browsed to where this was. I went a little fast, so let me go back and show you. Let's undo that. Let me go back, click on select, and this is where you would browse. I happen to be in the correct folder because I was playing with this yesterday, and the program goes back to wherever you opened an image last. And this is where I opened the image yesterday because I was working on this image for y'all. And I happen to have it in my documents folder. I have a subfolder called ProStitcher Designer. And then within that folder, I have an images folder. Your image may be saved somewhere different, but you can certainly navigate. This is just like File Explorer. So you can use your navigation just like you would in File Explorer. Go find it. Left click on it once to select it and click open. There we go. Those are the steps. So now that I've got the image open on my desktop, we have some really helpful tools. And just to let you know, everything I'm sharing in here, all of the tools that I'm using that come with the backdrop tool can be found in a wonderful video on ProStitcher.com, Learn, ProStitcher Designer, Learn page. And there's about, I don't know, 40 videos in that Learn section on ProStitcher Designer, and one of them is called Backdrop Tool. So it's a good video to watch. It does have its own PDF tutorial that you can click on, save to your computer, and print off so you can go through these steps again. So one of the nice things that it has is it has a straightening tool, and I tried really hard to take a really even picture, but if you look at the bottom edge of my quilt top, you can see it's not quite straight, but that's okay. We have a tool that we can use to straighten our image. If I right click, I can click on this tool right here, Define Horizon. And now my mouse cursor turns into an X, and I can draw a line along the bottom edge here to kind of straighten this. If I left click and hold, whoop, not what I wanted to do. Let's try that again. Let's make sure I've got my tool on, Define Horizon. There we go. It's the cross. Left click and hold, and then you can see it's drawing. See that blue dotted line? I kind of lifted up over the white so you can see it. I'm going to draw it along the bottom edge of my quilt top, let go, and whoop, it straightened my image for me just a bit. So that was kind of nice, and now my image is a little straighter. If I don't like it, if it's a little crooked, I can do it again. Right click, Define Horizon. Left click, hold, draw that line. There we go. I think that looks a little straighter. Okay. So that's a tool that's built in the right click menu. So I'm right clicking and getting this pop-up menu, and I'm selecting Define Horizon to straighten my image. So now I can define the scale of my quilt, and I'm going to left click out to make that menu go away. And I'm going to use my zoom button because you can see, obviously my quilt top is not 5x6. It's much larger. In fact, I want to say it's like 54 by 72 or something. So if I look at my image file, let me see if I wrote it down. I didn't, but I know that this white quilt block here is 6 inches. So if I zoom in, there we go. If I zoom in, back to select, and I'm using my tools here in my right sidebar. I used my zoom tool, and I just drew a marquee box by left clicking and dragging it and holding the left mouse button down and dragging a diagonal line. Let me undo that. See if I can undo. Nope, I'm undoing my backdrop tool. There we go. I'm undoing my define horizon, and I want to do that. There we go. Okay. So now I'm using my tools over here in the left sidebar, and that was my select tool. And now I'm going to use my zoom tool, and I'm going to zoom in on one of these quilt blocks, and I just held my left mouse button down and dragged it diagonally from top left to bottom right. And that gives me a marquee box and a zoom box. So now I'm going to go back to select, stay on select, and I'm going to use my backdrop tools again. So I clicked on the backdrop tool, turn my backdrop back on, and I'm going to right click again and get that backdrop right click menu, and I'm going to click define scale. And it's done the same way as define horizon. I'm going to select it, and you can see my mouse cursor now turns into a cross with a little icon that shows you defining the scale. And I'm going to left click and hold, and I'm going to draw a line across my quilt block and let go. And now it's going to say, okay, how big's your quilt block? And I'm going to type in here 6 for 6 inches and click OK. And then when I click OK, I want you to watch over here. Look at the width and the height. These are automatically set. So if you change one dimension, the other changes proportionally. You don't have an option to turn that ratio off. It's built in the backdrop tool. So when I click OK, now it's telling me that my quilt top is 73 by 83, and I believe that's really close. I want to say it's 74 by 84, so that's super close. Obviously, we're super zoomed in, so I'm going to left click once. I'm going to turn on my select tool, left click once, and tap my space bar. Click my backdrop tool again because I want it turned on because I'm still using it. And now I'm zoomed out, but my image is close to the size of my quilt. Okay, now it might be a little big because you can see my image is actually ever so slightly larger than my real quilt. So if I wanted to reduce these down a little bit to make them closer, I can. For example, I could say, or actually make them larger because the image is larger than my quilt. I could put a number in here, say 75, and click apply. And that's probably going to make the actual quilt that you see in the image closer to the real size of the quilt. This is resizing my entire image. And you can see I have some extra piece of my garage door showing in the back. All right. So now we can adjust the brightness of this because it's very bright, and I'm going to be overlaying designs over this. So I want to click on the slider bar a little bit here and lighten up my image and click apply. And that lightens up my image, so it'll be easier for me to see designs that I'm auditioning as I open them on top of this image. Magic wand tolerance, that's for the magic wand tool. We're not using that, so you can ignore that. But I did want to explain some of the things that you see in here. We've talked about width and height. We are scaled at 100%. That's what I believe is the 100% size of my quilt. We can rotate the image if we need to by incremental rotations by clicking in here, or by 90 degrees or 180 degrees. So, and then you just click apply for any of those changes. All right. So next, we're going to try to audition some designs on here. And I kind of pre-made some because I was playing around with this for you all. I'm going to click on my designs tab down here. And if I float my mouse cursor over any of these tabs, it will give you the name of the tab. It's a little hard to see underneath my mouse cursor, but if I float over here, you'll see it says designs at the bottom. This is the sequence, which we don't have anything up yet because I have nothing. I have no designs here, so there is no sequence. So I'm going to scroll down, and in Designer, this is going to go look at my C Designs folder. And because I have Catalog also installed and integrated into Designer, I have a link here to where I have my purchased long arm designs, but I save these designs in a miscellaneous folder I created here. And know that you can adjust these windows if you like. If I float my mouse cursor over, right over that top edge, I can get an arrow and move it up. I lost my apply button. So if I want to get back to it, I'll have to drag it back down. Same thing here is I can make this bigger if I want, and then just scroll. There we go. So I can see what's in the miscellaneous folder a little more easily. So I'm going to kind of go down. And these are obviously alphabetical. And I'm going to show you a couple of designs. First thing I'm going to show you is I did a little pumpkin design. And these little pumpkins, it's a border design from ProStitcher. It's, if you have a ProStitcher membership, it's one of the in-house designs. And I think they're really cute. It's a border and corner that you can get separately. And so I kind of built this ahead of time just so you could see for time's sake savings. So all you need to do is left click and hold and drag it on top. Now, it's not centered. It goes in this white border here that's inside my colored border. So to center this, a real easy way to do it, I mean, I could try to left click and hold and drag it around, or I can just go to modify and click on to origin, and this will center it this X to 0, 0. So you see my 0 here and my 0 here. This X, which shows the center of my pumpkin design, will be centered to 0, 0. So that's pretty close. And you can see it's still not quite sized right. So I can resize this by clicking on my transform. And I can make it a little bit taller, and I can turn off my aspect ratio because as you can see, it's too fat, but not wide enough. So let's see how close I can get this, or I can just stretch it. Let's try stretching it. That might be a little faster. This is where ProStitcher Designer is a little more useful and has a little more tools than trying to do things in light or premium. So I could have either adjusted the size over here, or I can just use my arrows. Now, if I were to hold my control button, that would have sized it proportionally. But I didn't want that. So this, remember, I'm not stitching this out. I'm auditioning this. I just want to see how this looks. Now, right now, this is blue. And actually, this is not the design that I used for this. This is something else. But if I click off, I can change the color of this if I want to, like pink. And the way I did that is I have select on. I left click once to select it. You can see there's a marquee box around. And now I can right click and change the color of that, and then left click off and it changes my thread color. But let me pull up the design that I actually want to use on this. Let's see. All right. I'm going to left click and then I'm going to touch delete, and that's going to take that off. But I do want to show you the designs that were used in this. So let me find it. Okay, I think, if I'm not mistaken, we used this design. And I'm going to show you, Destiny. We used one of these designs, I believe. So I'm going to left click, hold, and drag. Clearly way too big to fit into the white. So I go back over here to transform, and this allows me, if I know those white blocks are 6 inches. So if I type 6 in here and I have maintain aspect ratio turned on, you can see it's checked off. It's going to, you saw it automatically change the height proportionally. If I click apply, it sizes it down. Let's zoom in on that. Okay, now go back to select, and then I can grab it and I can kind of drag it in there. And that was one of the designs I think maybe we used. If not, it looks really pretty in there, but I want to show you how to audition. And again, I left clicked because I have my select tool on. I left clicked to select this. It's selected, I know, because it has a marquee box. And now I can right click on any of the threads. And if you don't have any threads showing, You can add them by clicking the plus button. You see it adds more threads. And that is, these threads here are in a palette, and that palette is found here in your settings, general settings, environment, and I selected glide. Unfortunately, there's no superior threads in here, but I do use glide a lot, so I have it set to glide. And one of the other things I want to show you is I've been saying right click, right click, right click to change this. If you don't like using a right click to change your threads, you can fix that by going to your settings, general options, view tab, and checking use left click on palette to apply color. I personally prefer that because I don't think right click is very intuitive, and I was always afraid I was going to forget to right click and say, why is my thread color not changing? I'm selecting it, and I'm clicking on it and then clicking off the design. Well, it's because the software developers thought a right click would be a better default option. I don't agree with that. So we have the option to change that in the settings, general options. Okay, so we'll go back to our backdrop tool here. Okay, so that's one of the ways that we can audition designs, and I just wanted to show you this, and now I want to show you something pretty cool because I've been talking about this chain link quilt along that we did a couple of years ago through ProStitcher.com, and they did some really cool videos. And I know there are a lot of you out there that have asked about, gee, I'd like to really be able to custom quilt more. And that's kind of what we're talking about here in the backdrop tool. One of the ways to use it is to audition designs individually to custom quilt different sections of a quilt. And some of you feel like, well, hey, I'm pretty good with all over edge to edge, but I just feel like I need more practice or education with custom quilting. Where can I find that? Well, have I got something for you? So let's go over here. And I want to show you this tab. And I want you to pay attention here. It says ProStitcher.com/chain-link-QAL-week 1. And I'm going to show that to you again at the end of this Facebook Live, but this quilt along still lives on ProStitcher.com. And if you want to know where, it is actually in the blog. If you click blog and you scroll down, there's the quilt along 4, 5, 3, 2, week 1. So again, it's on ProStitcher.com. Scroll to the bottom. Under resources, click blog, and then scroll down until you get to week 1. And this will walk you through the quilt along we did back in 2023, I think it was. And this pattern can be found on ProStitcher.com under the quilting patterns. It's very inexpensive, but it's a very cool quilt. And they've got some different coloring options here that they're showing you. How to pull your fabrics. There's a video on week 1, and they talk about, here's where you can download the pattern. And there are 5 weeks of instruction with videos. All the quilting designs can be found on ProStitcher.com as well. And there's links to that on all of the weeks. So if you're looking for a nice tutorial that you can work yourself through, make the quilt top, and work through the chain link quilt along on ProStitcher.com. So I want to make sure you saw all that. I'm going to go back to StreamYard. Yes, it was a fun quilt to make. And thank you. Yes, that my screen is very small. Okay, it shouldn't be small. I'm sorry it's small. It should be really big. Is anybody else seeing a small screen, or do you need to enlarge your screen, Dawn? Is everybody seeing a large enough screen? Because I've got it set to a little head and a big screen. So you'll see my little head and a big screen. Okay, let me know that you guys are seeing a big screen. Dawn says the screen is very small. My screen looks fine. Dawn, I want you to click up here and enlarge so you have a large view of the screen. I think it's just you. So, okay. So, back to this is where we found it. So I want you to know that this custom quilting quilt along is there for you. Tons of tutorials. Like I said, there's a video here at the bottom. And this video is also on the ProStitcher.com. You can search hashtag chain link QAL probably, or chain link on our ProStitcher YouTube channel. Let's just see. Why not? Okay, let's try chain link. It may be because I'm streaming that this isn't working, just so y'all know. Playlist, let's see if it's in the playlist, since I'm going to show you that anyway. I don't see a chain link playlist, but like I said, if you go back to the ProStitcher, this is here, and it says you can watch on YouTube, so you can click here and it will take it to you. I'm guessing that my search is not working because I'm streaming. Some tools get restricted when you're streaming live, so that might be why. You can probably click search by chain, 2 words chain link, 1 word chain link, hashtag chain link QAL. Any of those searches should bring you up those videos. But since we're on playlists here, I want to point out we have a ProStitcher Designer Tutorials playlist. There, as you can see, are 39 lessons on here, and they match up with our Learn ProStitcher Designer page. There are 39 videos on this page as well. And on here, you'll see they'll probably run by it if you have quick eyes. It'll say backdrop tool. There's one on here. There it is, right here. Okay, let's go back to the program. Okay, so that shows you how to kind of pull up different custom designs. And do I have chain link in here? Quilt along? Maybe I was really smart and did that, or not. Nope. But that's how you audition. That's one of the ways. I'm going to show you some more custom auditioning, but let me show you how to audition some edge-to-edge designs too, because for me, that's really helpful. Sometimes, we want to see what the design actually looks like. And then we also want to check density. That's a really tricky thing to kind of get an idea on in ProStitcher Premium or Lite, but this tool really helps you do that. So I'm going to create a new workspace page. I have design one up, but if I go to home, I click new, I can pull up a fresh new page. Now, I still have my chain link there, but we're going to do something different. We're going to go back to the Tools tab and go back to the Backdrop tool, select, and I'm going to open up another image. This is a quilt that I made in the spring called Baked Alaska, 72 by 72 inches. I have gotten in the habit of, when I save an image, whether I'm taking a photo or I'm grabbing an image from the internet, when I save it, I'll change the name to whatever I want it to say, because I'm the boss of my computer and I can do that. And I'll make it very descriptive for my little brain. I'll call it the name of the quilt, and then I add the dimensions. So when I actually open it, I know this quilt top is supposed to be 72 by 72, because as you can see, that's not how it opens. This image I did grab from Moda Bake Shop. This is a free pattern that was pushed out by Moda Fabrics in the spring. They have a whole series of beautiful solid color quilts. There's probably 8 of them. This is one of them, and it's called Baked Alaska. So if you go to Moda's website, search on their bake shop for Baked Alaska, it is a free quilting pattern, and it's beautiful. And I liked it so much as it was colorized. That's how I made it. So I'm going to go ahead, and I know, as you saw, I know that it finishes at 72 by 72, but I'm going to make it 71 by 71 because of the little edge of the binding is there. So I'm I'm going to click apply, left click once, tap my space bar to zoom back out. And now my image is very close to the size of my quilt. Again, remember, we're not quilting any of these things out. We're just auditioning. So I'm going to show you, I was thinking about this quilt, and I'll make it a little lighter. There you go. I think that's good. I was thinking about what I wanted to quilt on this, and I was in ProStitcher Premium, and I was on my laptop in simulation, and I built this in simulation, and I saved it. So I thought, okay, well, I can just open that because I saved it in my miscellaneous, and I think it's called Repeat Improv. Is that the one I did? Yeah. So I'm going to left click, hold my mouse button down and drag, and plop it down. And again, it's not centered, so I can go to modify and to origin, and it will center it very nicely. I'm going to go back to my backdrop tool, turn it back on. Okay, I'm going to left click out here to deselect my design. You'll see the marquee box will go away, or it should. And of course, it's not doing that because this has happened before. Go off. I'm taxing my computer, guys, so that's why sometimes when I try to work on something, it's not working. Okay, let's change the color of this and then see if I can left click off. This is where live is so fun, when it's not working for you. So let me delete it. Let's try. Undo. There we go. Sometimes you have to be persistent and not let the software beat you. It was on the backdrop tool and not on my select tool. That's why it did that. I was on backdrop. So when I deleted it, because backdrop was turned on, this marquee box is actually around my image and not my design. So when you click select, that turned my image selection off. And now if I left click, it's going to allow me to select this design, and I can resize it down a wee bit if I want. Let's do that. Just so it's a little more realistic. Whoop, we need a decimal point. There we go. Apply. Okay, now my design is selected. Has marquee box around it. I'm going to left click because I changed it to a left click in my settings box. Change this thread color to kind of a taupe. I played around with this a lot because I wasn't sure what color I wanted to make this. And I'm going to add some colors here. Let's see if I can find something. Now, if I am clicking and I'm still not finding the color I want and I get to the end, if I click one more time, watch what happens to this right arrow. It turns on, because if I click on it, it means I've added another color to a second row. So you can just keep adding colors like this. Click on your second row and you'll have bunches of more colors to pick from. And I had tried several colors. So I think if I'm not mistaken, I kind of ended up with a soft aqua that was somewhere between the dark and light, but for visualization purposes, I went with a taupe, and here's why. When I left click off, and I'm going to zoom in a bit, the purpose of me doing this wasn't so much to pick my thread colors. It was for me to look at, number one, do I like the design, this quilting design on top of my quilt top? And number two, is this design going to be too dense? Do I need to enlarge it? Am I happy? I personally, and this is total personal preference, I personally like to quilt more densely. So I was okay with this, and it is a dense quilting design. It's called Improv 7. It is from A Bit Orange, and it's pretty stitch intensive. But I decided I liked it at this density, and I was able to tell pretty easily by using this particular thread color for my eyes. And I'm going to zoom out. And the way you can zoom out is you can just roll your scroll button on your mouse, or you can if you want to zoom all the way out, click select, tap on this once, and tap your space bar, and that will bring you back to everything in your workspace. But I found for me, if I kind of zoom into a corner of the quilt, that helps me really visualize the density. And I liked it, and I liked the design. I was happy with it. And that's what went on this quilt. And yeah, it took me forever. I think it was 6 or 7 bobbins worth of bottom line 60 weight thread, but it's a pretty big quilt. It's 72 by 72. And it just turned out beautifully. So I'm going to come back to you all and see if we have any questions. So let me get back to my StreamYard screen. Okay. The chat is showing. Okay. Yeah, my chat is showing. Okay. And it should be. So any questions on that? Did you see how I did that? That was a design that I mocked up in ProStitcher Premium, and I'm going to show you how to do that. And I'm going to show you, I saved it by miscellaneous folder. So that allowed me to browse to it and left click and drag it onto my ProStitcher Designer screen. Any questions? I'm surprised we don't have any questions. Everybody good? You ready to go on to the next? Okay, you guys are silent there. Okay, so let's go on to our next quilt that I want to show you. Alrighty, so I'm going to go back to my Home tab and click on New and get another new clean workspace tab. You can see I've done 1, 2, and 3. And I'm going to go back to my Tools tab, my Backdrop tool, click on Select. I'm going to open up a quilt I just made recently. This was my summer quilt. It's called Santorini. And it's 54 by 72 because I like to name my quilts that way. I was afraid I might forget what fabrics I use because it's a PBS, their solid quilt line. And it was something I had seen on social media. I follow them, and they had kind of a really pretty summer fabric quilt palette. I thought, oh, I like that. I'm going to make a quilt with those fabrics. So that's why I put that in the name, just so you know. I didn't want to forget. And that's a quilt top I made. Now, this image, the Baked Alaska image, I got that from the internet. I got that from Moda Bake Shop. They had a picture of the quilt. I right-clicked on it, and I clicked on Save Image, and I saved the image to a folder on my laptop. This image, this quilt top, I actually built this in EQ8 electric quilt and exported the image. So I would have it to use in ProStitcher Designer because I knew I was going to be auditioning it. So we know it's 54 width. So I'm going to actually type 53 because I don't want to include my binding. Click Apply. Left click once to select the design. Tap the space bar to bring it back into view on my workspace. And then let's make it a lot lighter because that's pretty intense. There we go. Okay, so now this design, I actually did build this, but I want to show you how you can make the programs talk to each other. So I want to show you that little feature. So let's just do that. I know this is 54 by 72, so I'm going to make it... I can adjust the size. Again, remember, we're not stitching this out. I'm going to rebuild this design actually on my quilt top. I did all this for auditioning purposes. So let's go into ProStitcher Designer and let's build it. So area, 2-corner area, 54. Y'all know how to do this because you guys are ProStitcher experts, right? Refresh. There's my area. I'm going to get my crosshairs off. There we go. Now I'm going to open up the design by going to File, Design, And the design I actually used was this one, and it's a So Shabby quilting design, as you can see. And here's another wonderful thing I want to show you. You may not know this, but if you go to File Design, if you have played with the design previously, it's going to show up here. ProStitcher will show you the last like 10 or 20 designs that you have opened or saved, newest on top. So you don't have to necessarily go to open and go browse for it. So I was playing with this last night. Here it is. I can click on it and select it. And the other thing I wanted to show you, this is one of the wonderful benefits about having ProStitcher Premium or Lite installed on your laptop to use in simulation. If you go to File, Design, and hover your mouse over it, it gives you a pop-up and it says the file path of where the design is. This is where I can actually find it. It's in my it's on my long arm designs. You can see it, long arm designs, So Shabby quilting subfolder, and the design name is Honey Honey. Okay, just a little tip for you there. So now I'm going to build my design by going to repeat. I'm going to click fill to give as many repeats as will fit inside the area without going over. I'm going to add an extra horizontal repeat and at least one vertical repeat. And then I've got kind of a gap there, a little bit of a gap. I don't like that. So I'm going to zoom in. I'm going to reduce my, not do that. There we go. I'm going to reduce my gap. I'm going to zoom back in. I'm going to reduce this gap here so it looks more like the gaps here. So click on the gap and not the repeat minus sign. See, even us pros click on the wrong buttons. I like that. I'm still overlapping. And if I click my refresh button down here, my little house button at the very bottom, get kind of a 30,000 foot view. That looks good to me. I'm happy with what I've got. So I'm going to baseline it. You must baseline here before you go to crop. Do not skip that baseline step. If you do, you can have weird things happen during your stitch out. Not always, but often. So now I can go to modify, crop. I'm going to crop outside, going to close my edges, click on baseline. That looks great. Now I'm also going to get rid of my area because I don't need it anymore because I'm going to be sending this design to Designer because I want to audition this on top of the image that I have ready to go. So if I go to the Tools tab and I click on the Designer here, you can see I have both Art and Stitch installed on this computer as well as Designer, and they both talk to ProStitcher. And if I click on Designer, it's going to send this design or whatever is on my workspace. That's why I got rid of the area. I don't want the area to go over. Don't need it. So it's sending it, and it's going to open it up in a brand new tab. Well, my quilt is over here, so I want to get this over here. That's easy. All I have to do is have my select tool on, left click to select it, copy it, go to this tab and paste it, and then go to modify, to origin. And it's a little big, so let's make it smaller. Let's make it 52. I have my maintain aspect ratio on, so need a decimal point. It's going to resize the height proportionally. Okay, that's pretty close. Let's make it a little bit smaller. How about 51? Okay, there we go. Hey, that looks pretty good. Now I'm going to left click off of it, and I'm going to zoom in on that corner that I like to do. So I clicked my magnifying glass, left click and hold, and drag a box from top left corner to bottom right and let go. And I really liked how this looked. It was fun. One of the things that I was kind of concerned about, just so you know what kind of runs through a different quilter's mind. When I made this quilt top and I had it all done, I laid it out. This orange block was very apparent. So I thought, okay, I'm definitely going to want to, do my typical dense quilting that I like to do. But I want to make sure that the design is definitely dense enough to kind of tone down this orange. And then this is where I really did play with some of the colors. So I'm going to add a few more colors here. Let's see. Let's click the design first. Let's select it. Add some design colors. And I did play around with different colors. I thought, okay, do I want orange? So I tried orange. So left click once. You have to have your design selected. And I know it's selected because I can see the marquee box. And I did see a change. Now, if you left click off, it'll show you the change. And I didn't like that. And when I pulled my orange thread out and puddled it on the quilt, I also didn't like it. I didn't like the orange on top of the dark teal. It just wasn't appealing to me. So I have my select button on. Let's select the design again. So I tried a gold. So I left click. Now I'm going to left click off. And I know that's a little hard to see. So let's go back to tools. Let's go back to the backdrop tool. Let me lighten it up a little bit more. Still really hard to see. Maybe if I make it darker. There we go. Okay. This is exactly what I did. It's like, oh, I can't see that. Well, lighter, darker. You need to play with this and learn what works. So with a lighter thread, I found out that a lighter thread shows up better on a darker backdrop image that has dark fabrics in it. So you can see the light thread. Yes, I know that's probably a dumb moment for all of you thinking, Patty, you're trying to look at a really light thread. And if you make the background really light, you're not going to see the light thread. Well, it took me a little fiddling to figure that out. This actually looked pretty good. And I did almost go with this kind of shade of gold. However, I ended up going with a teal thread that was in between this light aqua and this dark teal blue. So it's close to this color. So let's see, we're going to have to select again because I was on the backdrop tool. Select, change the thread, click off. And now I'm going to go back to the backdrop tool, lighten it up because it's kind of hard to see. There you go. So yes, this is exactly what I was doing. Exactly what I'm showing you is like, okay, I went from that light gold thread, changed it to this teal, couldn't see it, had to lighten up the background image. This is how you use your tools. You're not going to know this unless you play and practice. So this is what I went with, and it came out really well. And actually, this particular shade of teal blue looked really good on the orange. This shade, not so much. The orange, awful. The orange was awful on this. And believe me, I had all of these threads laid out on my quilt top and puddled. So that's another way to get an image into ProStitcher Designer from ProStitcher Premium or Light by using our send tools. Okay, let me come back to y'all and see if we have any questions. You really like the pattern. Okay, the name of the design is, okay, so Cindy, you wanted to know the name of the design. I'll tell you both. The name of the quilt pattern is Santorini by Alderwood Studios with an A, like Alder, A-L-D-E-R Wood Studios. And the name of the quilting design is Honey Honey by So Shabby Quilting. And thanks, Lori. I really liked it too. I thought it was really fun. The Santorini quilt pattern lends itself to 5 different colors of fabrics. She has a mock-up for that. And it just happened that what I saw on social media from PBS Fabrics, their little kind of color mock-up that they used had 5 fabrics in it. So I thought, oh, that's just perfect. Totally perfect. Okay, so any questions on how to do that? Pretty straightforward and pretty easy. So let me show you. I can't believe I'm not getting a lot of questions. Okay, let me scroll back. The color deep purple. Oh, thank you so much on my sweater. Yeah, I thought I would be handy quilter purple today. And I like it's one of my favorite colors. I guess I'm partial, but it's one of my favorite shades. I don't wear a lot of purple, but this is my favorite shade of purple. Okay, and thank you for the compliment. We should always say nice things to each other. I'm all about being kind. Okay, so let's go back to designer. And let's go back and open a new tab. Now you see I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 tabs. I do get a lot of questions about people buying laptops for using ProStitcher Premium or Lite in simulation as well as designer. They want to know what kind of specs to get. This is a good example when you're doing a lot of work in a graphics program, and that's what ProStitcher Designer really is. It's a graphics program. It uses a lot of resources on your laptop, so it helps to have a decent amount of RAM, random access memory. I would say minimum is 16 gigabytes. My laptop has 32. I have a very fast processor. I also have a decent video card. It's not as good as I'd like, but it does have dedicated RAM right on the video card. So when it's trying to display things, it tries to use that RAM first before it goes to my 32 gigabytes of computer-based RAM. So all that means it runs a little bit faster. And on top of that, I'm streaming. That uses laptop resources. So it will make my screen flips slower. It'll make things load slower. It'll make coding execution slower. So like if you want to do a modify, resize, it might take a second. So it helps to have a decent laptop with enough RAM. So minimum 16 gigabytes of RAM, 32 if you're a computer geek like me. All right, let's go back to tools. And I'm going to show you a quilt I'm working on. It's my fall quilt. And let me go to the backdrop tool. It's called Pecan Blossoms. It's by Fig Tree. And this is alphabetical. There it is. Okay, it's 67 by 67. I'm saying that out loud so I can remind myself. So when I resize it, type in 67, decimal point, click apply, left click once to turn my select tool back on, tap my space bar on my keyboard to bring it back into size, and then let's lighten it up a little bit. Click apply, and I might make it a little lighter. There we go. Okay, so this is the quilt I'm working on right now. It is under my needle as we speak, being pieced, and I was trying to decide, okay, am I going to custom quilt this or am I going to do an all over edge to edge? I'm going to make it dark again just so you can see. It's not super busy. It's kind of soft fabrics, but it's still all patterned. So I'm still debating. I haven't decided whether I'm going to custom quilt it or just do an edge to edge. I have an edge to edge picked out that I've been wanting to use for a long time. So I know if I do an edge to edge, I know what one I'm going to probably use. Let me lighten it back up again. But for this class, I decided I was going to use some fun designs. This pumpkin border, it's going to be split between two lines. So let's just make this bigger so you can see them both. Okay, so this pumpkin design and this pumpkin corner design, they are on ProStitcher.com. They're an in-house design. So if you have a ProStitcher membership, design membership, you can get them through your membership. And they're really cute. And they actually come in two different versions. They have, this one is plain. And then there's another version just like this that has some little grass sticks. I liked the plain one. And so I decided to build this. And you can see I have an area. I built this in ProStitcher Premium because it was easier for me. Can you do it here? Yeah, you can. You can drag this in. It's going to be on the border up here. Did I resize this? Let's see. Yep, I did. Okay. Did you see what I just did? That's why I love using this on my laptop, because I have a mouse attached, and if I flout my mouse over the design, it says resize 3 inches. The original design is, I think, a little bigger. It's 4 inches. But I resized this, and when I saved it as a new design, I typed in, instead of just pumpkin border, I added to the file name, and I added resize 3 inch. That tells my little brain this is different than the original. Now I can go to my repeat tool here if I want, and I can, I don't want any vertical repeats. I can repeat this several times, and I can also see they're not quite attached. I can reduce my distance here and make them a little closer together if I want. And let's add a few more, and then click apply and OK, and then it'll like create a border for me. Okay, so yes, I'm gonna zoom in so you can see it. Yes, you can do this. And again, remember, we're not stitching this out. I'm auditioning. Okay, and I'm going to go back to, this is why I do this. You can see it repeated them, but it's only letting me select the repeats. So if I click on one of them, I hold my shift key down. Click on one, hold my shift key down, click on the bottom one. Didn't work. Hold the control key down, click on all of them. Now they're all selected. Okay, and if I zoom out, you can see they're all selected, and it allows me to left click and hold and move them all as a group. Okay, so I'm going to zoom in because I just kind of want to see. Now, also, I want to show you something that you can do. Like for me, it's really hard to see where I'm moving this when I left click, hold, and grab. If I want to fine tune moving this border around, I've got it selected. I know it's selected because there's a marquee box around all of the designs, and you can see they're all selected. I can hold the control key down and use my arrow buttons. See, I'm holding the control key down, and you can see the commands flashing on the screen. Control key and right arrow, control key and down arrow. That allows me to kind of fine tune moving it. So I can do that. And I'm going to zoom back out so you can see. And then I'm going to recenter this a little bit so you can see. This is one way I can do it. Or as you saw in my designs folder, there's an area. I saved it in a designs folder because I just wanted to point it out to you. I used this area in ProStitcher Premium in simulation, and I built my border. And where is it? There it is, complete pumpkin border. So let's get rid of this. So I'm going to have my select button on. I'm going to draw a marquee box around it all to select them all. Touch delete on my keyboard. Now I'm going to pull this in. Left click and hold. Drag and drop. And ooh, I was pretty close to the center. So, but we'll still go to modify to origin. And now my pumpkin border is selected. I'm going to left click off of it. And I thought, well, let's look at the color. So maybe I can change the color on this. So I'm going to left click and select my design again. I have my select tool on. My zoom is off. And I'm going to find that orange. It's not showing. So let's add. There it is. Let's go turn it bright orange. And I kind of decided that maybe I might custom quilt this because I thought that looked so cute. So that was one kind of vote for maybe custom quilting. And so then I got really busy in ProStitcher Premium and Designer, and I did some of this, and I did this work in Designer. So what I did is I left my border up, and then I started adding designs, and then I decided to save all of this giant design, and it is us. It is, let's see, that is, let me see where it is. Bear with me. I'm looking for the native file format, which is C2S. So I'm going to select this and delete it. And I'm going to go here and do a file, open. And I'm going to look to see, I'm going to change my view here to extra large icons. Because I have catalog installed, it will show me little thumbnails of all my designs. And I think I saved it. Did I save it in here? There it is. Okay. So I saved the native file format, C2S. This is a working digitizing file format for Designer. Why I saved it in this file format, as you can clearly see, it saved my colorizations. So I'm going to select it and I'm going to open it. And it opens to the origin to 0. And I want to show you, let's see, what it did was, let's go back to tools. It also saved my background. Because remember, we were over here, weren't we? It's opening it in a new tab, a new workspace tab for me. And not only did it save all my designs, but it saved my background image. So when you're working on a design here and you have, let's say you had your design back up here. Whoops, modify, we'll go to grid, to version, there we go. So let's say you were working in this and you think, okay, it's 9 o'clock at night, I'm tired, I want to go to bed. You can, I think I selected everything. And I went to File, Save As, and then I named it something like Pecan Blossoms. You can see Audition, Test. I'm not going to overwrite it. We're going to say Test 2, give it a different name. And I saved it in the C2S file format. I didn't give a drop-down box and save it in a stitch file. I left it in ProStitcher Designer's native digitizing format because doing that gave me this. So now I can go back to my tools, click on my backdrop tool. It still allows me to do this. How cool is this program? I can't tell you how fun this is to do. So I thought after I did this pumpkin border, I got kind of excited, not going to lie. And then I said, okay, what else can I do? Okay, so I've got some blocks. I've got some sashing. I've got cornerstones. So yes, you can go into a rabbit hole. I said 9 o'clock. I think it was 11 o'clock. I finally said, turn it off, Patty. You just got to put a pin in it, select everything, save it, and come back and show all your wonderful people what you did. So I found this design and I went back and forth between Designer and Premium because I find I can digitize better. I know this is 6 inches. This was 3 by 6, I think. I don't know that. Let me see if I was a good girl and wrote down the sizes of these. Of course I didn't. Let me think for a hot second. Let's select this and let's see what size. That'll tell me. Okay, so let's select this one. Look at transform. Okay. 4 by 14 is what it's saying this is about. And then, of course, remember, we're not stitching it out. We're auditioning. I can go to, I just want to remember this sashing 4 by about 14. So if I go to, let's clear this, go to area, 2 corners. What did I say that was 4 by 14? 14.7. Enter. Did it backwards. See, guys? I have not finished my coffee this morning, so I'm going to claim that. There we go. Okay. Let's get my crosshairs off of my area so we can see what we're doing. Went to designs and I went to open. And this is where I just had some fun. I was in my designs folder and I went to continuous line designs and I just started kind of looking to see if there's any. Okay, do you see that delay? I think some of you saw that delay, and that is indicative of using a lot of resources. So 16 gigabytes of RAM, guys, or 32 is better. All right. So I started looking at designs and I thought, okay, what would this work maybe? I thought, oh, that's really big. I'd have to resize it and it might distort it. So no. So I just did close selected. Didn't like that one. There, open. And the design I ended up really liking. Actually, for premium users, it was in Susan Mannery's Piano Keys. And I liked this design. Okay, so I know this is 4, so I need to resize this. So I can resize it if I want, or I can just do a repeat and do a fill. And I'm going to add one more repeat. Nope, I'm not going to do it that way. I'm going to do it horizontally, add a repeat, and then I'm going to go to stretch, vertical stretch. And I kind of like that. However, I noticed this gap. So let me show you. And so what I did was, let's just turn off my area. This design kind of went over. So what I did was I moved my start point because I want this little guy to make it all the way to the edge of the area. Turn my area back on. Let's see, ProStitcher, new start end, and let's zoom in. Where's my zoom? There we go. Okay. So I want this stop point to be more over like about here. So I was going to move my stop point back. So it was about like that. Baselined that change. Then I went to modify, crop, start end. Which it's not doing it for me, but that's what I did. And then I went back to, probably because I baselined it. Modify, let's see if it'll let me do it. ProStitcher, new start end, move it back. Modify, crop, start end, baseline. There we go. Okay, now it did it. And I used that design like this, and then I went back to, turned off my stretch, turned my back to horizontal, and stretched it. Then I baselined it and saved it. And I like that because that got the little balls all to the edge. So I liked that design. And so I put it in the quilt. I didn't like this after I did it because I felt like the density of this design was a little too close, as well as the shape to this. So I said, okay, all right, not super happy with that, but I liked this a lot. I liked the change in density and shape between the border, the sashing, and then this was going to probably be quilted a little slightly less dense. And so then I just went into a rabbit hole with various blocks and trying to decide what block I like. So one of the ones I really liked was this Clifton. So I'm going to left click, drag, and drop it here on this. And it's sized right because I think I resized this one. Yes, I did. Okay, because you can see by my name, it says Clifton Block 1 resized PB for pecan blossoms. All the little notes for Patty's poor little brain to remind her why it has what it was used for. I'm going to hold the control key down and use my arrows and kind of move it up. And then maybe move it to the left a little bit. And then it's selected. So let's turn it a different color. Let's turn it brown. Left click off of it. We really like this. I like this design because I liked how this cross hatching kind of fit over my little blossoms. But one thing I wasn't too happy about, see that big blank area? Wasn't thrilled about that. So I thought, okay, well, maybe what I could do, if I wanted to, is take this into ProStitcher Premium, add a small little design motif in here, combine them. I might have a jump or a start stop. They may not stitch continuously because they're block designs. Would I be sad about it? Probably not. Maybe I could find a design that was, let's just zoom in so you see what I'm talking about. Maybe I could find a little design that was a diamond shaped, that had a start stop here, and I could connect them and it would all stitch out as one. So this is kind of where ProStitcher Designer can take you a bit down a rabbit hole, but it's a really fun rabbit hole. And let's select this design again if I can get it selected. There we go. And then I would, since I'm zoomed in, I can move it over a little bit. Okay, there we go. There, so it's not overlapping. And then I can tap my space bar, come back out, left click off of it. See how pretty that looks over the little flower buds? I really like that. So I looked at a bunch of different designs. That was the first one I loaded. I liked it so much I stuck it in there again. Then I tried this one. This was a different one. Did I try this one? Let's see, resize PP. I think I did. I can just drag it in. We can stick it on this block. Drag it down a little bit. Zoom in by clicking my zoom. Drag a marquee box. Left corner down to the right corner. Okay, turn on my select tool again. Select it again. Hold my control key down. Use my arrows to get it in position. Move it up. Okay. Move it to the left. So it's covering the block a little bit better. If it's real slow, you can just left click and just drag it over a little bit yourself and kind of watch the new lines go. There we go. Not bad. Let's turn it dark brown again because that helps to see the design a little bit better. You can even make it black if you want to really see it. But I liked the dark brown because I thought that went with my quilt better. And I liked this as well because I liked how it covered the center of my block, and this kind of followed the same shape as my blossom. So then I also looked at my cornerstones. So let me go up to the top of the quilt and show you the two cornerstone designs I was kind of playing around with for my small little blocks. I had a couple of choices. This one, which is very similar to this one, but this had some cross hatching. This is a cornerstone. This is from ProStitcher.com, Ring Revival, which is a beautiful double wedding ring design collection. It is an in-house design. If you don't own it and you have a ProStitcher Designer membership and you're ever thinking about doing a double wedding ring, or if you quilt So Kind of Wonderful quilts and you're doing their Metro hoops or Metro circles, they will also fit in that quilt. That's one of the designs in the collection. And I've used it on a Metro hoops quilt and loved it, but I didn't like it here. It was too busy. I liked something simpler, and this kind of followed the lines of this little quilt block. And this is a small quilt block. This is only 3x3. And I liked how that looked, so I repeated it over here to see how it looked with the fun piano keys. And this to me just was so perfect for density. It's like sort of dense, really dense, not dense, not dense. You want to find that balance between density variety as well as shape variety. This kind of cuts it in the middle. Yes, it's straight lines, but it has circles in it. Yes, this is straight lines, but they're curved. This is all curved. So we have some differences between straight lines and curves. We have some differences between density. So it's just not all homogeneous. And that makes your eye very happy, your design eye very happy. And so I'm thinking I'm going to custom quilt this quilt. So let me come back to all of you. And I'm close to the end. I want to share some resources here. Okay, Kate, shoot, so blurry. I'm sorry it's so blurry for you. I'm not sure why it's blurry for you. So once you have created all of this in Designer, how much work time do you spend aligning everything when you're actually quilting it out? So Leah, very good question. Everything you saw there, I don't save any of that at all as something with an intention to stitch out. I do save it as a roadmap. It's my design plan, so I know what goes where. But when I stand in front of my quilt top, and I have printed this out. That's the other wonderful thing you can do is you can print this out in Designer. Designer has a wonderful print capability, and it doesn't have to be real sized. In fact, it can be a small size to fit on one page because I'm using it as a roadmap. It's my design plan. So I know what designs go in what blocks. So when I'm standing at my quilt, I know, and I will have done some of it in ProStitcher Premium because for me, it's easier to plot this out. And if I'm doing it right on my quilt, then I know this area is going to be pretty perfect for all of my sashing. That is 3 inches or 4 inches by 14.7 or whatever that sashing is. I recreate the area in every one of my sashings, and I will skew the design in so it fits because, you know, we're not perfect piecers. And when you load your quilt, that quilt top's a fluid thing. So your area won't look like this. You're not going to do a 2-point area. You're going to do a multi-point area. And this line might look a little wavy. And you're looking at your quilt top and you're saying, it looks perfectly straight to me, but on the screen, it looks pretty wonky. Doesn't matter. That's the beauty of being able to use multi-point area and skew. It's going to skew it in perfectly. When it stitches out, it'll look like this. It'll look like it's dead straight, but it'll fit perfectly and not stitch over any of your seam lines. So I'm doing it one section at a time, and I do all of my blocks that I can stitch out in my throat space, and then I advance. And usually with my custom quilting quilts, I will have basted my entire quilt down first. So I'm down to 2 bars. That allows me to go back and forth wherever I want to go. So if I want my quilting plan to say, hey, I'm going to do all of these sashing because they're all going to be in the same color, that means I don't have to change thread colors a billion times. If I've basted my entire quilt top down, I can do that. I'm not going to have any problems with shrinkage, draw in, folding, you know, weird things happening to my quilt top. So with my custom quilts, I do a wavy line about every 3 inches, left to right, drop down, right to left, drop down, left to right, a wavy line across my throat space, advance, base down my throat space sides, do my wavy line, left to right to left to right to left, about every 3 inches apart till I have filled up my throat space. I use a 1/2 inch basting stitch. I'll use a bright thread color. Usually, sometimes I'll even do it with bottom line, something's easy to see and easy to pull out. And that allows me the luxury of being able to roll back and forth wherever I want to go in my quilt top. So let me come back to y'all quick to see if you have any questions. Okay, more questions. So Leah, that's what I do is I will use this in Designer as and again, I'm not worried about the designs being correctly sized. That all happens in front of my quilt top. This is all just for planning purposes. Yes, Vicki, it's very exciting and very scary at the same time. I'm still working on drag and drop. I can help you with that, Vicki. If you're on one of the Facebook groups, if you're on ProStitcher Quilters, if you're having trouble with edge to edge, please post on ProStitcher Quilters. Tag me at Patricia Fraser Sliney and say, Patty, can you help me with edge to edge? I will post steps for you that you can highlight, copy, and paste into a Word doc. You will never have problems with drag and drop again as long as you live. Solemn promise. Okay. Any other questions? Neon is my favorite basing color. Amen, Leah. Absolutely. I use a bright chartreuse green. When you print out, does your design list the designs used? No, I have that. It doesn't. It just, I'm doing an image, but I have it all saved in a folder. As you saw me pulling those out, you saw me going to my miscellaneous folder. I actually create a folder by the name of the quilt top when I'm doing it. It's just my way of doing my custom quilts. So I'll create a folder, and you can even put it right on your laptop in your designs folder, and then you can delete it later. You don't need to keep it. I keep copies of the designs in there. So I'll find a design I like, resize it, save it back to my new folder. When I'm done, I just get rid of the folder because it's a copy of a design that's been resized. So is that saved in Catalog? Catalog is a viewing program. So nothing gets saved in catalogs. Catalog just allows you to view your designs wherever they are on your hard drive. And it just lets you view it in different ways. So it's kind of like using a super souped up Windows File Explorer that has all kinds of extra features. It's time to get Catalog before I get so confused. And I do, you know what? Catalog is an inexpensive program. It is awesome. It will integrate into Designer, or if you don't own Designer, it's a standalone program. So, so I want to make sure, let's see, you're on Light. Vicki, not a problem. Designer talks to Light the same way it talks to Premium. And you can buy Designer and you can buy Catalog. If you own Designer and you buy Catalog and install it, it integrates itself into Designer. If you go back and watch my Facebook Lives on Designer and on Catalog, I show you all that. So let me see if I've got any other questions that I missed. Don't want to miss anybody. Oh, you guys were helping each other's out. How we change the view of the files on designs is having the names of awesome. Oh, you want to know how in File Explorer? Jeanette is asking a very good question. Oh, man, am I glad you asked that question. Okay, so let's do something. Let's go to the designs folder just so you're seeing a bunch of designs. Okay. Jeanette's going, how come these are little thumbnails and not names of designs? So in File Explorer, I'm in File Explorer. If you go to your View button and click your download, this is what y'all are seeing. Okay. This is the default view for File Explorer. It's called Details. See how it has a button right there? If you have Catalog installed, Catalog, not only does it do all kinds of great things on its own, it has a little built-in tool called a thumbnailer that gets installed right into Windows File Explorer that does that. If you pick either extra large or large, I have 70-year-old eyeballs, so I like that better. I like extra large. It will give you a little thumbnail. And if you have your, excuse me, details turned on here and you select an image, it will tell you all these wonderful things about the design. And then you can turn off the details sidebar if you don't want it on. It's up to you. Did that explain it to you, Jeanette? And also, you have a view tab. Like if you go to Designer and you go to File, Open, you have a view option right here. Change your view, more options. If you are seeing this, you don't have to. Just click on your extra large, and it will do that for you in File, Open in any Windows program, including Designer. Okie dokie. Good question. Man, I like that question. Took me a while to figure out what you're asking because I don't have enough coffee on board. Let me get y'all back to me. Okay. All right. Let me see if I missed anybody else. You have a Windows attached to my ProStitcher on Huramara, Leah. You have the Quilt Geek crown for the day. Excellent. You can absolutely plug a mouse, either wired or wireless, into your ProStitcher tablet. Have a little table on the side with a mouse pad. So nice. So my laptop did not cost $1,200. It was less than that. But I'm a smart shopper. I got it at Best Buy. It was an open box. It was under $1,000, Leah. So, but you're right. The more RAM you get, the faster processor you get, more money it is. Mac users, yes. Oh, Kathy. Oh man, so glad you said that. Guys, if you own a Mac, you really need to get a PC. It will not run reliably on a Mac having your hard drive partition, trying to use Boot Camp or an aftermarket Windows emulation program such as Parallels. I have used Macs and I've used PCs. I've used both of them. It's not trustworthy. Don't expect it to work perfectly. And Kathy, today is your day. You can learn Designer. Also, did y'all know, since I've got you here, if you go to Software and you go to Designer, if you don't own Designer, you can download it and play with it in demo mode. You won't be able to save or send, but you can do everything else. And so this is going to give you the idea of whether or not you want to buy Designer. It's not that expensive, comparatively speaking, out there to other embroidery and long arm editing and digitizing programs. It's priced extremely competitively. I own several of them. And I'm not just saying this because I'm a handy quilter educator. I'm just saying this as a long armor and somebody who's come out of the machine embroidery world. This was by far and above the easiest program for me to learn. The rest are much more feature intensive. We don't need all the features that come with some of those digitizing programs. It's set up very much like ProStitcher Premium and Lite, so the navigation makes sense. It's very intuitive for you. I think it's the easiest program that I've ever learned to use as far as editing and digitizing programs. And that's the truth. So let me make sure I've answered all the questions because I've got one last slide I wanted to show you. So let's go back to my StreamYard, folks. Go back to the new comments. That thumbnail feature is in digitizing software too. Yes, it is, Vicki. A lot of other programs out there that are embroidery or long arm digitizing and editing programs have a thumbnail feature in them. So So for the very last, I want to make sure this gets on screen for y'all. So let me give you just some examples of things I saved. So that's from the chain link quilt along. That's how that chain link quilt along ends up getting quilted. I highly recommend, if you want to practice custom quilting, take advantage of the chain link quilt along, all those videos, all those lessons. All the designs are from ProStitcher.com. They're inexpensive. The quilt top pattern is also on ProStitcher.com in their quilting patterns section. It's called Chain Link. Here's another screen snip of my Baked Alaska. I didn't print that one off because I didn't need it, nor did I need to print that off because I knew what it was going to look like. But if I did a custom quilting with my pecan blossoms, you bet I'm going to print it off. So let's get back to the last, and I really want y'all to see this. Here's the link to the chain link quilt along. This is recorded, so now you can go back to the recording and you can see this and write it down, type it in, or remember where I showed you where it is on ProStitcher.com. Scroll to the bottom of the homepage under resources in the bottom right corner, click on blog, and then just scroll down on the blog page and you'll find it. These are some resources. Again, I showed you ProStitcher.com, learn the ProStitcher Designer education page with the 39 videos. Those are all also on our ProStitcher YouTube channel down here. Wanted to point out we are going to be running a little special. I think starting beginning of November, we have a special weekly $5 design. Hopefully that'll run through the end of the year. Not sure how long it's going to run, so don't hold my hand to the flame on that, but watch for that. If you don't get notified of things like that, that's because you haven't signed up for the ProStitcher newsletter. If you go to ProStitcher.com, scroll down, the newsletter sign up is right on the homepage. You should be signed up for that, as well as Handy Quilter's newsletter. Same thing. Go to handyquilter.com, scroll down to that page, and the newsletter sign up is on the homepage. Some manuals and quick reference guides. If you go to ProStitcher.com, software, ProStitcher Designer, there are 2 links on that page. You've got your user manual as well as a quick reference guide. I do recommend printing out the quick reference guide. It's very helpful. I don't print out a user manual. There's no purpose for doing that. You're better to use it in a PDF format because Adobe Acrobat Reader has a built-in search function, which makes it very easy to search your manual. We've talked about the YouTube channel. Retailer events, watch. You can go to the handyquilter.com, learn local events to see if your local retailer is offering any classes on ProStitcher Designer. If not, ask them. Ask them to host an educator like me or somebody else. We can do virtual classes, or we can come in and do in-person classes on Designer. And then there are some aftermarket sites. They're not connected. Some are kind of connected to Handy Quilter. We have people like Kay Collins, who is one of our fabulous and wonderful Handy Quilter national educators. She has her okquilting.com website. Quiltyquill.com has tons of designer classes. MK Quilts has some. Linda Jackson, who's one of our Handy Quilter ambassadors in the UK. She's fabulous. Just to listen to her beautiful English accent is reason enough to go watch her classes, and she's extremely knowledgeable. Marilyn Stromat is an expert user. She's just an aftermarket person, and she has her website and a YouTube channel that has some freebies. So there's our resources, and we're going to wrap a little early, but let's see if there's any questions left. Okay. Yes, Leah, it is hard to see that little screen. Enlarge, you can enlarge it. And, I have a 17-inch laptop screen. So, girl, I feel you. I'm telling you, make this big. Make it big. You can make this big. And it's a lot easier to see. These thumbnails, you can't change the size of them. Would be nice, but this is the size that they are. You can even enlarge them like this if you want, and then move it back. These are all movable. Okay, so Just float your mouse over the edge of the screen until it turns into a double-headed arrow. Just know to get to your apply button, you've got to move things down so you can see them. Move this back up. Okay. And I try to kind of sit like right about here. I try to fudge it as much as I can. I keep this small, Leah, and I keep this bigger. So, okay. All right. Deborah, you made chain link. You got to post it. I'd love to see it. Weren't those video tutorials incredible? They were wonderful. And the quilting on it is fantastic. Okay, please close that. So sorry, Vicki. All right, sorry, I obscured your view. Okay, any other questions before we wrap it up? Y'all have been so wonderful and patient. So I hope you learned a little bit more about the backdrop tool and what a fabulous tool it is. And truly, just that one tool, in my mind, is worth buying ProStitcher Designer. Also, I don't know if any of you quilt for others. ProStitcher Designer and Catalog can make you look like a crazy quilting boss to your customers, because you can mock those things up and you can send these images. You could send this to your client and say, okay, here's your quilt and this is what it's going to look like. Your client's going to fall off their chair when they see that and say, oh my gosh, that's beautiful. I love it. We picked just the right design. You are so good. I'm going to make you look like a quilting boss. It's great. And if you are quilting for others, it's a tax write-off. You can write it off. It's a tool of your trade. So just another thing to think about. Catalog makes it a lot easier. Also, if you long on for others, because you can print out all your designs in various folders. So and then you can save them in PDF format and have them for your customers to look at. Okay, guys, thanks so much. You have been a fabulous group. Let me remove that. Come back to me. And if you have any questions still about anything that we talked about and you're on one of the Facebook groups, I recommend you either, if it's about designer, it's probably best to post it in the ProStitcher Designer group on Facebook, or ProStitcher Quilter group, or if you're on the Posse, ProStitcher Posse. That's not an official Handy Quilter or ProStitcher group, but it's very popular, and I am on that group, and I will answer your question. You can tag me right in your post. All right, guys, we will see you out there in the quilting world, and have fun and happy quilting.